Welcome to the Rooted in Light podcast. I'm your host, Tuesday Rivera, and I am here with G Christo today to talk about part 2 of the Conscious Devouring Mother. So we did a 2-part webinar, and 2 episodes ago, G and I talked about the first part of the webinar, and we are here to talk about the second part. So just kind of, if you were in the webinar, I think this will be helpful. It's a little bit of kind of debrief, more sense making. And if you weren't, it will kind of give you a little bit of an eye into what we talked about. So G, welcome.
Hello. So happy to be here and so glad that we're making time to debrief the second webinar because it was a doozy, is how I felt. It was a real doozy. Yeah, it was so good. It was so good.
I'm delighted to hear you say that. And I am delighted you were here with your hair this morning. This is a reason to go on YouTube. G has sincerely hair that makes one envious. Like,
oh my God.
Because didn't you say you wake up like this?
I did wake up like this. It's true. I did wake up like this. It's true. It is true. I do love my hair. It is, and I love how much you appreciate it. It's pretty good.
Love it.
Yeah, it's my lover boy hair is how I feel about it sometimes. You know.
Look, friends, I'm not saying that you have to go to YouTube, but if you would, if you're a person with hair that you just don't wake up and it happens like that. Something just happened. G messed with their hair. It went a little wild, and then they just did another thing with their hair, and it went right back. And I was like, ugh. Okay, fine.
I know. Okay. I know. It's my cool white straight girl hair privilege.
Yeah. You know what? Straight, it is.
But the hair is straight. I'm not straight, but the hair is straight. It's the only straight privilege that I have. Oh my God.
That's great. That's great.
Hilarious. Oh my God. That's so funny. Wow. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We're gonna pull it back together here, friends.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're gonna talk about this webinar, which I think for me felt different than the first one. In that the first one, I felt like I needed to do some like kind of level setting, right? You know, the devouring mother and why we'd like want to be working with that character consciously. And this time I felt like, let's dive right in to that. So start me off. What's staying with you from the webinar?
Well, I knew in my body that this webinar was going to be like a situation. Like I just had this feeling. And recently, especially because of the first webinar and our conversation afterwards, I really have been thinking about like the mother wound and how it relates to all of this. And I was hanging out with my cousins and, we were just chatting. And then I of course, just casually was like, do you guys ever think about intergenerational trauma? And it opened up just casually. Like, I was like, what if I just open this Band-Aid right up? And so that elicited a conversation that led me to be really reflective about my women ancestors. And I was talking about it in therapy and really moving through that. And then we get on this dang call and you're like, all right, we're going to do a visualization about your lineage, the women in your lineage. And I was like, cool. Awesome. Great. Yes. Let's do it. And I definitely want to talk about the two, about Gaia and about, can you remind me the names? It's Sekhmet and...
The Furies. Sekhmet and Hathor.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. But the visualization was incredibly powerful for me. And I mean, I always love your visualizations. It's one of my favorite things that you do. But giving the cord over to the fire of giving that connection of that pain and that trauma that women in my lineage have gone through was really uncomfortable. I think I said that a little bit. I felt some discomfort releasing that connection to my ancestors. And I still feel curious about it.
So let's just to kind of bring people in. Last time we talked about moving from sacred rage to toxic anger and how we can kind of hold on to rage, which might be justified and actually move us someplace or be in defense of ourselves or others. And that's really great. That's sacred rage, and how that can like move into our lives or kind of linger in our lives in toxic anger. And like we just kind of become angry about everything. So
Right.
that was how we did it last time. And it was so rich last time. I'm like, I want to stay with this idea of rage. It's so hard for us as women to
Mhm.
stay with our rage and actually be with it. And I just went on my own kind of exploration of my own rage. And I kind of came to the point of thinking, like, I'm holding my rage, but I'm really holding my mom's rage. And wait, her mom was a pretty mad lady. And, and and so I just was like, how do we talk about that rage that we've inherited that might be justified, might be sacred, but
Yeah.
when it becomes our inheritance, actually becomes toxic to us. So, as you know, and I'll just tell listeners. So, what happens for me is I go into the records before every webinar, and I kind of ask for guidance around what to do in the webinar. And this particular visualization, I was like, the records were just like, do a visualization, and I was like, okay, well, okay, because often I'll go in and like I'll get a download of a visualization, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so we'll do a visualization. So it was a
Wow.
little more ad hoc. I had to kind of trust myself in the moment of like, we're going to do this visualization. And what we did was we actually did a guided visualization together, obviously, where we sat in front of a sacred fire that was a cleansing fire, that was an alchemical fire. And I asked folks to hold in their hand a red threaded cord that symbolized the rage and the anger they've inherited through their lineage, perhaps from their mother, perhaps from their mother's mother, but really it was feminine. We were focusing on feminine rage, and you didn't have to know what all that rage was about or discuss that rage. It was like you just held it in your hand as a weight, and then you offered it to the fire with both gratitude for perhaps the strength it gave you, but also an actual letting go. And so that's where you said you got uncomfortable. So anything else you want to say about that discomfort before we?
To me, it's like I'm in this process of just like acknowledging sort of like the different tendrils of pain of the women in my biological and also like not biological lineage. And just I feel it like I just I think about like the major traumas they went through. Like my grandmother's mom died in childbirth, and that
Ah,
just like
yeah,
the effects
yeah,
of that ripple forever, and like
yes,
my biological father's mom like came over on a boat from Ireland pregnant and then left, right? Like that kind of like just
yeah,
experience. I'm really feel curious and like feeling into how it lived in their bodies and how it's in my body. And so like that connection feels really good, but it's like so I think there was some like releasing it or giving it up. I think there's like fear around feeling disconnected from them,
yes,
right?
yes,
But it's I don't have to embody their pain to know their story, right?
right,
Is what kind of left what I left the visual with, where it's like, no, I know that those women suffered and like I feel my own interconnectedness to them, but the like physicality of it, the things that live in your body that I feel for them doesn't have to stay here for me.
right.
But it does still feel a little uncomfortable. Like it does still feel a little interesting. And I think that might
Yeah.
be like I have my own work there to do a little bit. Like there's definitely more work there for me. Um, but yeah, it was powerful. And like you're just so incredible that I was like working on this in therapy and then you were like, we're gonna put this in the fire. I was like, I love my life. I was like, what is this incredible community situation that I'm in? Like, how did I get here? It's the best. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, I love hearing that because of course, like the ideas are downloaded and then I work with them, but
Yeah.
there is something that happens in the community, right? Like
Yeah.
we kind of meet each other. And I think that's really important. And a couple of things that just occurred to me as you were speaking that I hadn't thought of before. You know that I worked in violence against women forever, right? Sexual
Yeah.
assault, domestic violence. And there is something really healing, powerful, right good around women sharing their pain and anger, right? That is
Yeah.
often the first step of healing. It actually connects us, right? I remember walking into those rooms and women talking about the violence they experienced, and like automatically we were connected. And so there
Yeah.
is something.
Yeah.
about pain and anger and rage
Yeah.
that actually does connect, that can connect us in really powerful ways. And because of, you know, patriarchal history, often like we could connect, that's where we could connect. We can only connect with each other
Right.
around this, right? We weren't going to
Right.
get justice in the world. So like we
Right.
could, right? We could begin to
Right.
connect with each other around this and get some validation. And so it actually is really, pain, rage, anger is a really powerful way to connect with each other. And so it makes sense to me that there would be two things. One is like a desire to disconnect from that lineal experience of rage,
Right.
because who wants to carry more than the rage I have in my body right now for myself? Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And so like there's like a competing desire to disconnect, to say like that is yours, or I want that healed for you. And I need to do my own healing. I can't carry that any longer.
Right.
As well as an understanding that as daughters, that is often the way that we did connect with our mother, right?
Right.
That was a way for us to love her and walk alongside her, to
Yeah.
witness her in a way that maybe she wasn't witnessed other places.
Yeah.
And so it is like, want it gone, and attaching,
Yeah.
can't bear to let it go. Can't bear to let it go, because this is how I attach. And so I think it's really complicated. It's really complicated. I like where you ended, right? I can know their story. I can
Yeah.
even honor their rage
Yeah.
and witness it and love it and maybe do some back healing, but I actually can't carry it. I actually
Right.
can't carry it. It's
Right.
not, that's not good for me, but that's really complex stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the back healing I can like, because the way I understand it for me is that my trauma and my edges are murmurations of their unmet and unwitnessed pain. And so, but I think that in witnessing myself, I'm witnessing them. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like with goddess, right? With the goddesses thou, goddesses. I can't remember the other T's in this
That's
moment.
okay.
Remind
I
me.
and it.
I and it. Thank you. Like I feel like it's in that vein, in
Mhm.
some ways. Um, but it's complicated. It is complicated. Yeah.
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 Well, and like everything else, like it's a process too, right? So you gave some of that anger to the fire. There's still some that lives in your body,
Oh,
right?
there's plenty of anger left in there. There's gonna have to be We're gonna do so many visualizations to really clear it all out. But yes.
Right, right. And you mentioned it before, but it's worth saying the goddess story that we worked with was was
Yes.
Gaia.
Yes.
Gaia and the birth of the Furies, um eh, to so Gaia and Uranus having babies, he's locking those babies away so they don't kill him. There's been a prophecy that they'll kill him, so he's imprisoning all of her children. She's righteously angry about that. Asks Kronos to kill Uranus. He goes and castrates him. Isn't it an interesting thing? These Greek myths are really interesting in
Very,
that
very
particular
genital
way.
forward. Yeah, very
They're
genital forward.
very genital forward. They really, I like that. That is a great description. So he
Yes.
castrates him, his blood falls, right, to the earth, and up come the Furies. So they're kind of born from her anger. The Furies are born from her anger, her daughters, to kind of carry this through. Um, and so there's something there around, it's mythos, right?
Yes.
And we know that those are established, long, human, deep, almost DNA kind of patterns. And so we
Right.
know that we carry those. We know, like, we're not better than the gods.
No.
You know what I mean? So of course we're going to
Yeah.
carry them. It's really quite, I think it's quite a story. And I love that the Furies, eventually Athena offered them, they were jealousy and unconstrained anger and, like, punishment. Like, she offered them the opportunity to be in service of justice, of righteousness. Like, that was where they shifted. Was that a dog?
That's a dog. Yeah, sorry. I'm dog sitting one of my nieces, my niece dog. You good, baby? Yeah. Sorry, can you say that again?
I'm not sure that I can, but I just kind of love the dog sneeze. That was
Yes, that was a
hilarious.
dog sneeze.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But no, I that was another thing that I walked away from the session with, is just like reflecting on this rage, like this harm, this disconnect
Mm,
is so old. Like it's not
Yes.
modern, you know, like it's just it's
Yes.
been happening for centuries, and just like that also kind of makes me mad, but also yeah, like I just find it so interesting that
Ugh.
this experience of being an AFAB, a signed up female at birth person, like there's violence has been kind of core for a long time. Yeah.
Right. So we're carrying it not only for our direct ancestors, but for woman with like a
Right.
capital W. It's
Right.
so interesting, G, to hear you say that because I actually feel in a way that I haven't for years. Like,
Yeah.
and I started working in violence against women, I think at 23. I left in my early 30s, right? So, like,
Yeah.
I have been there in the rooms, like working for legislation, talking about experiences. There's not a whole lot at this point around violence and especially interpersonal violence that surprises me or shocks me or actually has me feeling much kind of way. I'm like, yeah, that's how it is. Sucks,
Yeah.
right? Not recently. Recently, I
Oh.
have been so mad.
Oh,
Like
no.
so mad. Like, look,
Yeah.
I went through Me Too, being like, yeah, I'm thank you, young women. I'm glad you're seeing it. It's been
Yeah.
happening forever. Great.
Yeah.
Good. Go build a movement. Like truly 100% supportive, but like kind of been there, done that. But recently I have just been furious. And it's like I have a feeling it is archetypal. It is her fury coming through me in a way that's like ready to burn some shit down. I don't know what that will look like. It's different from when I was 23 and just finding out how many
Yeah.
people with feminine bodies are raped, like by their
Yeah.
family and by friends. And it feels like it feels like I am angry on behalf of us all. And I don't know what to do with it. I'll figure it
Yeah.
out, but it's new. It's really new.
Where is it in your body? Like where do you feel it in your body?
It feels like and it feels like fury. Like I
Yeah,
just want to
yeah.
like that's the word
Yeah.
that really and it feels like it is a geyser that is rising up from my center up through my chest and wants to come out of my throat.
Okay,
And it's
that's
like,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not super comfortable, but
Yeah.
it does
Sure.
feel like, it feels like, well, here I am. Here we go.
Yeah.
We'll see. I almost said we'll see what's on the other side, but I don't know that there is another side. I think we'll see what wants to unfold from it.
Yeah. Well, and is there any one thing in particular that like kind of like flipped the switch onto the guys? Like or
I think it is likely that I have at least had a semblance of belief
mm,
that there was progress being made, and now
yeah,
I understand that it actually really doesn't matter what you
yeah,
do to
yeah,
women.
yeah.
I mean, obviously that's not the case all of the time for
I
every
mean,
but there's something here that's just like, wow,
yeah,
I thought we'd done something. I thought we were moving in a direction and I feel the backslide, I think is
yeah,
what it is.
yeah. I hear that. And it's interesting to hear you say that it feels new, like the level,
Mhm.
the way it's moving through you, and it also feels archetypal because I know that you have a relationship with Kali.
Yeah.
So I feel curious about that.
I think, and Kali has been with me, for those of you who know, like with my own, I mean, I've had a deep
Yeah,
and long relationship with Kali, and I feel she's been with me actually at the instances of my own sexual assaults. Like she
yeah,
has been in the room with me. She has witnessed it happen. In some
yeah,
ways, I would say she has not stopped it. It is, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and so I've kind of like moved through all of those things. Um, and yet this kind of archetypal thing hasn't been. I've kind of seen her as the person who wills and allows and uses that particular violence in specific ways in my life. But the archetypal accessing the archetypal anger feels quite new.
Mm,
You know, it's really, I mean, it is Kali like for sure. And it is like her, I don't even know if it's like, it's not I don't think it's her shadow side. I mean, we'll see if it comes out in her shadow side. It
Yeah,
is her
yeah.
like, I will destroy mountains kind of like, because that's what needs to happen. But I also feel, G, I also, with all of the things that's actually happening climate wise, I've just like felt her like stirring in the very bones of the earth. Like I've said for years, like at some point she's gonna wake up and like shake us off like fleas from a dog. Like she's gonna be like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, humans. No.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I think there's some connection there also to what's happening in the very bones of the earth and what we're doing to the earth. So
Yeah, and also, I mean, and just thinking about like Gaia, right? Like is Earth
mm-hmm.
literally.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, yeah, I just wonder how that's connected for you as well. Well, good luck to all of us with the rage, with your fury. I am so excited to see what happens. I'm so excited to see what gets created from that and destroyed.
Right.
And let Goddess know that I'm on your side. And to just what are the directions? Because I'll do it.
Oh,
You know.
I like you and
Yeah,
I love you so
I
much.
like
I
you and
love
I
you
love you.
so much. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else came up in the webinar. Was there anything else that came up in the webinar about this particular piece around the visualization of like handing over your rage? I think I was struck by one person said that it was a little hard to tune into their mom's rage,
Yes.
although they knew that their mother was angry.
Yes. Yes. I found that interesting. I found everybody's reaction to even talking about their mom when we got started. Like most people were like, I feel bad about even having negative thoughts about my mom. And it's so real, right? And that's
So real.
again like the privilege and struggle of like I think being in an AFAB body, like knowing our mom's pain, like the distinct, unique connection that we have with her. And so I totally understand everybody's, I mean, me too, right? Like even
Yeah.
today, I was like, oh God, like we're talking about moms on the podcast. What am I not going to say? Like, what are the things, I want to like keep to myself. Um, but yeah, so I think it was interesting to people's own sort of like shame around addressing that and
Mm-hmm.
approaching that. And I feel curious about how that applies to like how that shame bleeds out into other ways we relate to goddess or ways we relate to ourselves. Um,
Mm. Because it was
yeah.
shame that I would even dare to have a critical thought of my
Right.
mother, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, on one hand, we're like a really mother bashing culture and institution, right? Mom's to blame for everything. On the other hand, we had daughters on this call who were like, oh, shoot, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I want to kind of be critical
Yeah.
because like you said, we know her pain.
Yep.
We know what she's faced. You know what
Yep.
I mean? We know like how she's been received in the world, right? Like we
Yeah.
know all of that. So it becomes really complicated. And so it's like we can't even admit to ourselves, right? Some of
Yeah.
that critique. And
Yeah.
so we kind of live with this kind of knowing but not knowing, right?
Yeah.
That to me feels like how it plays out in our life. It's like we know something, but we're not really allowed to know it. And so we kind of act as if we don't, but we do. It's like the
Yeah.
gaslighting of ourselves.
100%. 100%. And then I know for me with that, it's like, okay, when I'm going to start to like really do my hardcore healing, it like, and I acknowledge those things I'm not supposed to know or acknowledge that pain. It like, I embody this like teenage version of myself where I'm just like, I literally cannot with you, in this like, no non patient way, And so, like, some of my work right now with that is like, how do I like honor my inner teenager and honor this like human being who gave life to me in a lot of different, coming from many different circumstances. Like, how do I do that? And I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
know either. I don't know
Yeah.
either. And as you're talking, I was thinking about, like part of this conversation, the webinar series was like, this isn't about mother bashing. And part of it was because I'm a mom. And
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
like, my kids are going to be like, that lady, you know what? Like, she was all spiritual and yet she did this. Or, my
Yeah.
son turns 22 today. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's lovely. So I'm having him like in the middle of the afternoon. We're doing lunch and donuts and just like, spending some time together. And of course, I want to tell him his birth story. And in some ways, I insist on doing that every year. Very light touch.
Yeah.
Uh, But it was the
light
moment
touch.
right. I mean, I don't tell him about the 18 and a half hours labor and 3 hours of prolonged pushing phase and how he all the things.
Yeah.
But it was the moment I became a mother.
Yeah.
It was the moment like everything changed in that particular way. And even as I was thinking about telling him that story, I was like, how will he receive it? Right. Because for me, actually, I'm kind of the star of the show, the labor, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was his birth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm kind of like, oh, how will I just needed to shift and be like, how will he receive that particular piece? Because I'm his mom, he's my oldest, and he has all of that. Like, you can already see it in 22. He's already like, well, mama tries as hard as she can. Mama does this. You know what I mean? Like, you could just tell, you can feel him narrating into a version of me that keeps me in a place that's really good. And God love it. I appreciate that. And I don't want I want him to know, like not know and not know. Like, we talked about knowing, but not allowed to know. I want him to actually know and be able to hold it and be able to see it and be able to have a mom who's like, yeah, that's really hard for me, kid. But your knowing is also true, even if I don't know the same thing. I don't like it.
That's nice. That's really.
I don't like it.
I want him to know it.
I want him to know what I know.
Yeah.
And see it how I see it.
I know.
I suspect that's not going to be the case, G.
If I had to hypothesize, I would say probably not. But I think you having the awareness, right? Like you having the like full 360 of what his experience is, right? Like can only benefit him. And if you have a daughter, right? Like you're working with two very distinct energies here. So like there's a lot of perception happening that you can't control, right? And like that's sounds to me as like the top four most horrifying parts of being a parent, is that they're just like, you're doing your best and you just have these little ones who just like
get to judge it.
Get to judge it. And also just like they get to judge it and like that's good for them. That's good for them.
Right. And I want it for them, but I just, So anyway, the whole point, right, is like, let's look at the devouring mother and then like try to make her conscious, right? So that I can, at the best to my ability, I can turn towards them and be like, yep, I was Sekhmet, not Hathor in that moment.
Yes. I love that.
So Sekhmet, just to kind of give people again, like a little peek in, Sekhmet and Hathor are both Egyptian goddesses. People are messing up the world. They're, like in the way that we do. Apparently, it's a bit cyclical that
Seems like a theme. Seems
right?
like a theme of humanity. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We just kind of mess things up.
Yeah.
And so Ra, sun god, sends down Sekhmet to kind of punish the world and clean things up. So this is, if you know any of the Egyptian mythology or the imagery, lion-headed goddess, woman body, fierce, right? So Sekhmet comes down, starts cleaning things up, killing the unrighteous, destroying what needs to be destroyed. And as happens, what we know might happen with my own transcendent fury that's happening is gets a little drunk on that feeling, right?
As one does.
And so starts killing the not guilty and the truly righteous and the things that don't need to be destroyed. And so Ra's like, woof, wait, yeah, exactly. How do we do this? And so he pours red beer down onto the world and she believes it's blood. And in her bloodlust, she's like, yeah, let me have some of that. So she drinks the beer, the red beer that's been put down on the world. She goes to sleep as one does, maybe blacks out. I'm not sure. But when she wakes up, she has transformed into Hathor, which is like this nurturing, still protective, but much more loving goddess. Hathor, the imagery is the cow kind of goddess. You would see that. And so much more around helping the world, be nurturing and loving and caring and creative. And so there's this transformation. And so we talked about kind of fierce, kind of destructive love, which might be necessary, as moving into kind of nurturing, protective love. And so those were the goddesses we worked with there. What are you thinking about that now?
Yeah, that was like a very interesting story to receive, right? Like I think that there was something about like the transition of rage into a loving, like caring archetype, right? Like that it wasn't just like, and the rageful one had to be murdered. It's like, no,
Right.
she just needed a nap. Like
She, she
she
just
just
needed a
like
nap.
she just needed to rest, you know, and then she could like become her full self, you know, and I'm like, I've never related so hard. And so there was something really nice about that. And then the activity that we did where we like thought of a challenge and then we had Sekhmet as the fierce protector and Hathor as the nurturer, like kind of go in dialogue about whatever conflict you wanted to write about. And that was also really interesting because I think
Mm.
I was expecting to be like, obviously the nurturing one is better, duh. And then I was in the dialogue and I was like, oh, spoiler alert, they're both important. You know, like you need both, you know,
Yes.
like you
You
need the
need both.
fierceness and you need the gentleness. And that I think where I can sort of go askew is when I'm leaning more into one than the other, when I'm like not honoring how important they both are. Um, both in loving myself in conflict and loving the person that I'm talking to.
This is what I thought. I thought, oh, I think generally with the people I love, as much as possible, I guess we would have to check with the people I love. I think I can bring some Hathor energy, right? Like
Sure, totally.
you know, but with myself, the loving of myself is often like fierce, protective, perhaps to a fault. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's
yeah,
something actually about, I have said, and I've said on this podcast before, it is actually, like Kali, Sekhmet, Durga, like some of those fierce goddesses, like I'm just down. Like I'm like, yep, I got it. I got it. I got that energy in my body. I know how to do it. Let's go change the fucking world, right?
yeah,
Let's just do it. It's that nurturing, gentler
yeah.
energy that to myself, I have
Hmm.
more trouble accessing, receiving. I certainly try to do that. And I actually got feedback on this podcast from Dalida and Katie that they experienced me as quite soft and loving. And I'm like, that is, I'll just take it. Like, I'll just be like,
Yeah,
okay, thank you. It's not
yeah,
like something I think I easily access for myself, but I guess I do for others. But for myself, I'm like, bitch, let's write it dawn,
yeah. Bitch, let's write
right?
it on. Yes, yes, yes.
For myself, but for
No,
others, I can access it. But you're right. Like it's like
yeah,
both are needed
yeah.
for my children, for the people I love, but also for myself.
That's so funny that you say that because I perceive you as so like I have experienced you as so fiercely soft. And like
Mm,
when I'm trying
mm.
to like approach like you were just so good at doing this thing where if I'm like talking about something that's hard and I'm just like I don't want to do it. You're like, "Great, you don't have to." Like that's great. You don't have to do it right now. Like you can do it whenever you want. And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." And so like I really try to
Mm.
bring that conflict, that energy into me when I'm in conflict with myself or with people that I love. So it's
Mm.
so fascinating to me to hear that like that you feel the challenge of pointing that towards yourself. And like I get it. You and I are cut from that same cloth, right? I'm like, let's burn it down, let's write it dawn. I'm gonna like, fierce myself into things sometimes I don't even want to do,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's another edge, right? But like, yeah, it's so hard to just like be with our little baby selves and just be
yeah,
like, hey buddy, like you don't have to do that right now,
yeah.
and move through that. Yeah, it's really hard.
You don't have to do that right now.
Yeah, you don't
It's
have to do that right now. You don't have to. Like you
even
don't need
hearing
to.
you say that, like there's a part of me that's like, what are you talking about?
I know. We're not even talking about a specific thing, and you're like, no, no, I have
Exactly.
to do it. Yeah,
No, I have to. Exactly. I don't know what
yeah,
it is, but I have to
but I
right
gotta do it.
now.
I'm up for it.
Because
I actually can, just so you know. Yeah, that's that's what it is. It's like I can do that. Actually, just yeah.
hmm
Whenever I get like that, my partner's always like, "All right, tough guy. Like we get it. You can do it. Like but doesn't mean that you have to." And I'm just like, all right, whatever.
Fine.
But fine,
Fine.
fine,
Ugh.
fine.
Okay. I love this. I love this. I love that. This is why I love, besides like truly the love of the divine that enters me. Like, this is why I love working with goddesses so much. It just makes so much more possible, and like you can just see things more clearly, right? So if she is everything and she has these different avatars that come down into the world, right, to be her in the world, and they're as different as Sekhmet, Hathor, Gaia, the Furies, like, you know what I mean? Like, then then all of that becomes possible for me, right? Like, all of that is allowed, all of that is actually, in some ways, if I think about it in the tantric tradition, all of that becomes my responsibility to experience, to allow, to embody, right? Like all of that, if I am a vessel for her to know herself,
Yeah.
then it's actually my responsibility not to be like,
Turn
no, thank
away.
you. Yeah, I don't love that face. It's like, okay, so this is the face we're going to be right now, or you're going to
Yeah.
experience right now.
Yeah. Oh dear. I don't know. I've really been like grappling with something you just said that, yeah, I'm
Oh dear,
uncomfortable.
you
Oh
said.
dear.
Oh
Yeah, I
dear.
know. I know. Yeah, what you just said, like we're a vessel for her to witness herself in like all the different faces and shapes and
Hmm.
shades. And I think I'm in this funny, like with my own relationship with goddess right now, I'm sort of in this funny, like, I think I'm a little stuck in the like conceptualization of like as thou, as it, as I. I feel like I'm like moving between the three of those feels a little too intellectual right now for me, is how I'm
Uh-huh.
experiencing it. But I think I'm most struggling with it as I, like goddess as
Ooh.
I,
Okay, say
which like
more.
classic. But like I I kind of came into I came into a relationship with a new goddess recently in a way that like really descended in beautifully. And in this like really like gentle spiritual moment, I was outside, we were chanting, and I was like, "Oh, hello," you know. And but with this goddess in particular, I feel like I do embody her. Like it's the first one where I'm just like, "Oh,
Mm.
this isn't like a life transition presentation." I'm
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh no, I've always been you. Like you've
Ah,
always been
uh-huh.
here." And that makes me
Beautiful.
feel shy. Like that makes me feel uncomfy a little bit,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Thank you for
And
saying it. It's beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And also it makes me think about my other relationships with like I like especially with Kali, like I as Kali, like yes, I was like a real like I had a real I was Kali, Kali was Kaliing at me, like, there was, like, a lot of conversation there
Kali was
with
calling at
Kali,
me.
you know?
As she does. Yep.
Yeah, she does, but, like, in my day-to-day, I don't feel her as like, I don't fully feel that, but with this one, I feel more embodied in it. So but it so then it's like, see what's happening? Like, it's just so in my brain, but it's
Uh-huh.
so yeah.
Is it in your brain because, and I'm just like, we're just talking here. I'm just
Mhm.
asking questions. I'm not declaring anything. But
Yeah.
is it in your brain because you feel like it should be like one way? Like if you feel this way about this goddess and the embodiment, that should be how Kali feels embodied, or like that you should have that kind of embodiment, like, or is it okay for you
Mm.
that Kali's a thou, right? And this goddess is an I. And do you know what I mean? I just wonder about like, is there something you're insisting on be true?
What do you mean? No. Yeah, now that you say it like that, yeah, I think it's like you can relate to every archetype differently, can't you? And then they will
Absolutely.
relate to you differently at different parts of your life and your shape. So, yeah, I think I'm realizing I was thinking of it as like, all right, to get to the gold level of goddess, you have to go through I, thou, and
Oh, it.
it. Like you have to experience it as all three. But now what I'm hearing you say is that they might just enter differently. Like they might just enter different portals of it.
Right. Enter different portals at different times of your life, in different circumstances. There's something about, like if we talk about the kind of more masculine or patriarchal way of relating to this, it's like pick a way. Like
Right.
here's the right way.
Yes.
versus like it actually can be all of the ways and shift, like goddess is movement. And so shifting and allowing that shift and allowing yourself not to land so strongly.
Yeah.
But I also just want to say, like, I guess because I know you have a relationship with nature, right? Which would be your it. Kali might be your thou. This goddess might be your I. So like you actually are experiencing all three of those all of the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that just made me have a big feeling in my body.
Oh.
That's so nice. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. Huh.
Yeah.
How nice.
In part, I mean, like in part of it's just allowing, and like I'm glad you had. It feels like a good big feeling in your body, which is wonderful. And like part of goddess worship is sometimes the bad big feelings are her too. You know what I mean? The confusion, the despair, the helplessness, all of that it's all her. You know. And it's all her way of experiencing herself. Okay, G, I think we're going to go ahead and close.
Great.
And so thank you to everyone who's listening. I'm thinking about a practice. What is the practice we can
I have a
leave
practice.
people?
I have a practice. It came to me while I was trying to fall asleep last night. I recently have just been really feeling the power of water. And so I would invite people like at some point in the next week to just like get intentionally into water, whether you're like going into the ocean, going into a river, jumping into a pool, taking a shower, and just like actually feeling it move the energy through you. Just like have some intentional time with water, because I have found it to be really like energy clearing recently. So that's my recommendation.
I love it. I love it. Spend some time in water. A good suggestion for July.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So nice.
Thank you, everyone. Please, if you like the podcast, share it with folks. I know it's YouTube. I get confused. YouTube, podcasts. It's all the things. Share it however you want to share it, but please share it. If you heard something today, please let us know. You can just send us an email at hello@tuesdayrivera.com, and we will get it and we will respond, and maybe we'll even talk about it on the podcast. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, G. It is so good to have you.
So good to be here.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.